Ah, mate, this is something really special. Let's talk about this insanely cool LEGO Pirate MOC. It's huge! And you better believe we're going to examine all the beautiful details that are packed into this brilliant diorama. I mean, it's got it all. Gorgeous landscape, a stunning pirate ship, and plenty of wonderful details to marvel at. I just love this, and you're going to love it too. So let's take a look. So while attending the Skærbæk Fan Weekend in Denmark, I had the pleasure of seeing this awesome creation in person. This huge pirate landscape was built by Captain Lego Brick, or more specifically, Peter and Lucas Love, and it's called Dead Man's Chest. This is based off scenery from the movie Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Man's Chest, as you probably guessed. First off, let's just take a look at the beauty of this colossal diorama. I mean, this is the kind of thing I wished I had as a kid, so I could just spend hours playing with it. The rockwork alone is just so breathtakingly beautiful. There's plenty of these wonderful rock arches, which are a really great way to break up the rockwork and make it look a little bit more interesting. Yeah, seeing these minifigures walking under these arches is fun, and then this huge arch, it's easily the best part of this diorama. You know, the way it neatly frames other sections of the diorama, and then the vibrant grass and plant details that are on top, it's just very cool. Now, a bunch of the plants up top use pieces in some very creative and clever ways. For example, we have these eggshell pieces as exotic flowers. They look wonderful. Then some green surfboards, which we can find in this Moana polybag. They've been used to make a lovely looking tree design here. And then another part that maybe isn't as clever of a part use, but it's still cool. They've used some of these Venus flytrap pieces that came from the Jungle Explorer city sets, much like this one, as well as the headpiece from this plant dude who was from one of the Halloween waves of the collectible minifigure series. Now, sure, they've used plant pieces as plants, not as creative as some of those other clever part usages, but hey, these look wonderful, there's no denying that. Now let's go back to that wonderful rockwork. It's great to see all the different plant pieces branching off of the rockwork. It feels so much more natural and realistic to see these like spiky rocks down below, or roots and vines and moss all growing across the rocks. You know, the trees and the other plant life, it really is that kind of secret sauce that makes this MOC feel so much more realistic, immersive, and real. And I guess that's really why this shines so much. It's those realistic details that you would see in the real world that make you just want to dive into this even more and just be engrossed by all of the wonderful intricacies of this diorama. And hey, another detail that adds such a sense of grounded realism is this wonderful landscape, or more specifically the way that the ocean has been designed around it. We can see closer to the edge of the rockwork, especially on these sandy areas here, some tan pieces have been placed just under these trans light blue tiles that make up the water. And this showcases some very shallow water with the edge of the sand very, very close to the top of the water. Now you mainly see that around the coast, but when it branches out and gets a little bit deeper, we move into lighter shades of blue and then darker shades of blue when it gets even deeper. What a great detail to showcase the depth of the ocean. And again, this is so realistic. That's how water works. And also, given the scale of this build, I think it's extra important to add this kind of detail because there are huge areas of open water on this diorama, and if it was nothing but those translight blue tiles, it would get kind of boring to look at. So subtle stuff like this goes such a long way to making this more visually interesting. I mean, even the choice to add scattered 1x1 tan plates and 1x2 blue plates, it's just another way to break things up a little bit and make it more exciting to look at. I love that. A few other great water details along the shore here include the difference in sand when it's dark tan or when it's normal tan, and then also the choice towards the front to use some of these wedge plates meeting right up against some tiles in dark tan. Once again, this feels so much more realistic to see the difference between the wet sand and the dry sand, and then the texture difference between the tiles and the studs really helps to blend the transition between sand and water. Very well thought out, that's cool. Oh, and also check out this section of the water where like a dolphin or some sort of small whale, or some kind of creature, is just swimming just close enough to the surface where you can make out the outline of them. Such a clever idea to include that there. Now this was made using some of these wedge plate pieces, and then just placing them directly underneath those trans light blue tiles. A pretty similar technique was used in the LEGO Ninjago City set, but this wasn't used to illustrate any kind of creature, it was more in the same way we've seen before, illustrating the depth in the water. So I love that. Now, one thing you might have noticed in these images, there are a couple sections of this MOC that were missing. Now, the Skærbæk Fan Weekend was a 3-day long event, and due to the huge size of this MOC, it took ages for it to get fully set up. But even on the last few days, this section here was left unfinished, unfortunately. Now, the MOC card of this build said, "To be continued." so it's possible this wasn't 100% complete when it was being displayed, but it might well be very soon. I did also get a few photos of this MOC getting set up. You can see how each section splits apart into easier, more manageable chunks. And if you look closely, you can see the lines where the different sections of the modules connect. Now, some of these sections even have little passageways at the bottom there where lighting and wires can run through. Here's a few photos that showcase some of these lights in action, but I think this one here is actually probably the best example of lighting on this MOC. This giant skull is just so well made, and it looks so much cooler with lighting. Really does give it that wonderful creepy vibe. Just love it. But hey, it looks just as good without the lights as well. I mean, this skull might be my favorite part of the diorama. The shaping using some of those curved slopes, especially around the eyes, wonderful. But hey, as cool as the skull is, the ship off the side of the diorama sure looks pretty awesome. I mean, just take a look at the front of the ship, for example. Remarkable. I love the repetition of various gold pieces here on actually multiple parts of the ship, not just the front there. There's something nice about seeing the repeated order of these pieces. There's a nice uniformity to it. And then when we look at the plants and the rockwork before, they're a little bit more wild and out there, a little bit more chaotic. So it's cool to see the contrast between the ship and the landscape. And that contrast makes the ship pop just that little bit more. I like that. Some of the other gold highlights throughout the boat look wonderful. The nice, fancy ornamentation is a brilliant choice. And again, we've got lots of clever part usages here too, like this banana. There's also a trident, some keys, a faucet, and even some Wolverine claws, and there's heaps of different stuff here. It all looks incredible. Plus, it is also worth saying, dark blue, white, and gold. Oh, fantastic color scheme. The ship also appears to have some custom cloth sails, not official LEGO pieces, but hey, that was a really great touch, and they are very, very well made. They almost look like real pieces. Another nice touch, although this one's a little bit more subtle, the dark tan tiles used on the ship's floorboards up top here. They've been placed so that they aren't fully inserted. Maybe one edge is pushed down, but the other one isn't, so it's sticking up a little bit more. Well, this works well because the floorboards look a little bit more uneven and actually a little bit more realistic. So it's a surprisingly simple technique. It may not, strictly speaking, be legal. You might be putting a little bit too much pressure on that tile there, but it does look very nice. Yeah, this is such a magnificent ship, and it's even better seeing it right at home on this magnificent diorama. And oi, there's so many great details on this MOC, like the wonderful rope bridges that link the different islands and rockwork together, and even this fun kraken, which bears a striking resemblance to another one that I showcased in a previous video, also on a big pirate MOC. But man, the choice to use tails and the body pieces from the LEGO T-Rex dinosaurs and then convert that into a kraken, that's just so clever. Man, I just adore this diorama. It's stunning landscape and it's packed full of realistic designs and clever building techniques. It's everything you'd want in a LEGO MOC. So be sure to check the links in the description and give Captain Lego Brick a follow on Instagram. They did such a good job on this MOC. Honestly, man, well done to both of you. Now, I hope you enjoyed taking a look at this huge pirate diorama. Oh, and if you do want to see that other pirate MOC I was talking about before, the video I did on that, I'll also put the link to that in the description below. So if you enjoyed this video, there's another one very similar to it right there. Thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned because there will be many more videos showcasing the incredible builds at the Skærbæk Fan Weekend convention. Happy building, guys. Bye for now.